and destructive weather pattern is coming to the United States, and I just kind of wanted to update my viewers on what that was going to look like. So I'm going to start this video off by really just saying thank you. To show you what I'm talking about, take a look at my live subscriber count. Well, you can just see it right here. 50 subscribers, folks. We're at 50 subs. Thank everybody so much. I need to change a couple things, though, and I need to admit a couple things, so I'll be talking about that. In all my past videos, you have known me as Noah Ronald. Noah Ronald. And that was kind of the stage name that I put forward just for privacy reasons. But now that so many of the great viewers at home are viewing my videos and hopefully staying safe, I think it's important that I reveal my own name. My real name is Orion Rahimian. You're going to know me now by Orion Rahimian. Just call me Orion R if that's what you want to call me. Because I have a big last name. Okay? More importantly, everybody needs to stay safe because we do have a interesting situation of weather that's coming up that really needs to be talked about. I think the severe weather risk is going to be pretty high for this time of year. As a lot of you know, the spring severe weather season is usually very intense with a lot of repetitive severe thunderstorms. And we're going to talk about that today. I first want to get to the NWS Severe Weather Outlook. Day 1. Let's look at today. And this was issued today, so this is the newest version. And what we're looking at is 2 risk areas for today. You can find your city or your area. I'm just going to list out the hazards so you at home know when this will be coming and what it will be looking like, and if that'll work that way. So we have this slight risk out here near Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. And this, you could have some stronger hailstorms, particularly in the Oklahoma area. That's why today, that if these storms develop and become strong, I may consider going live for this event. Though usually I keep those live streams more for the stronger severe weather outbreaks. Your tornado risk, which I know is what everybody wants to look at. I know a lot of the people at home may be thinking 2% is not a lot, but the main risk today is not the tornadoes. And you could get straight line damaging wind gusts that are at that tornado level, and that could cause damage to your home and your property. 2% tornado risk, like I said, if you're in any of these green circles, even down here, you'd be watching out for a spin-up tornado or 2. If you go under a tornado warning, there are steps that you can take to make sure your family stays safe, as well as moving to a lower floor, most interior room, and covering yourself with a mattress or a blanket or something. Your wind risk, this is where people get hurt. This is the one I'm worried about. So once you start seeing these 15% and 5%, even if it's just showing up with your wind risk, have a higher area here, and that's for clusters of thunderstorms that can really get some gustier winds on the leading edge of them. If that is the case, I fear for your safety, because if a tree falls on your car or on your house, that could be life-threatening. So if you go under a severe thunderstorm warning, and the National Weather Service puts this in the wording of each one of those severe thunderstorm warnings, make sure for your safety, move to an interior room and treat it like a tornado warning. They mean business. So if that is the case, please treat that as a tornado warning. That's just what I recommend, because it's not all too rare that I see that type of stuff happen to people. Your hail risk, notice the hatched area back in Oklahoma and Kansas. We're going to have to watch this, because if we get a big storm that's producing some baseball, softball size hail, that could be just as damaging as a lower end tornado. So let's talk about the overall setup for today. I know this is what a lot of people are going to care about, and I do want to show it. This is the next generation. This is the next generation weather lab. I think it's important. We're going to go to the numerical models. Each one of these values, and I know I haven't explained it very well in my past videos, is basically a big supercomputer in a building that is trying to calculate all these different weather patterns, and it comes up with its own version of the future. And that is what this kind of looks like. And you know, the common ones here, the ECMWF or European model is very accurate, as well as the the Global Forecast System or GFS. These are both very good models, but they're meant for more long-range situations. So today we're going to be using the HRRR. And we're going to position ourselves in the Oklahoma, Kansas area. We're going to watch the initiation of some of these bigger thunderstorms. And I'm going to go a run back just so we could get a really good look at this. So you take this forward, southerly winds here in Oklahoma and Kansas. We're watching up in here for initiation. And boom, right there. So you see you get this little boundary later today where you kind of have wind that's coming out of the north and west and moving to the south and east, and then wind that is just coming due south kind of meeting together, and that's where you're getting the initiation of some of these thunderstorms. All right, this is just on the Kansas-Oklahoma border. These will likely quickly become more linear and severe, so damaging wind threat with those. And then back in here, notice how quickly that happens, just in 1 hour. Now you're watching your hail threat. These purple dots is where you could be seeing some of that larger hail in some of these thunderstorms. Even these storms cannot be counted out for hail. And then that all kind of quickly clusters together and turns into a squall line by late day. If you're in Joplin, Missouri, you need to be watching this because these storms mean business and they could cause damage, especially with these big Boeing segments. All right. And to show you our possible tornado risk, pull up the significant tornado parameter to see if a significant tornado is possible in this environment. Doesn't show much, but does show something. Some of these higher values in these specific thunderstorms could get a quick spin-up tornado with this. It really blooms here on the edge of this squall line. All right, let's look at our vertically integrated liquid. The higher values of this will show where a thunderstorm has gotten taller and more intense and has the ability to produce tornadoes and hail. And you can really see those values really start to cluster together, especially in these early thunderstorms. I think we could have some larger hailstones. And then that kind of transitions into the squall line with a couple more discrete thunderstorms to the south. Your helicity swath, you start seeing these long lines of helicity. That's when you'll start noticing that those are areas where intense rotation is occurring for long periods of time. And you don't really see too much of it. You see it kind of clustering up, but not necessarily in a line. Areas like this, here, these are your spin-up tornado threats. And then that kind of moves on with the squall line. Now let's talk about the southern areas for today. Let's go down here. We're kind of watching this area for today. So, like I said, this was that other area that I was showing you. Thunderstorm development already happening. Could see a spin-up water spout with these thunderstorms as well as these over here that are developing near Florida. Those kind of dwindle a little bit, kind of float around near New Orleans. Louisiana could have some heavy rain today. Northern Alabama and Tennessee could have some heavier rain. And New Orleans could have a flooding threat later today, not necessarily a severe weather threat. Now, to take this forward even further, I'm going to use the NAMStat. So it's going to show us a 3-kilometer resolution. It's going to go out a little bit further. So same general idea. You got your thunderstorms, and then your Sunday storm, which is what I'm going to talk about. But that's where you see this big, scary-looking squall line, and I'm going to talk about this. That's probably going to be your highest threat for those spin-up type tornadoes. Down here, you could have more of a stronger clustering effect to them. So let's talk about the Sunday event. So I'm going to go to the Storm Prediction Center. Here's day 1. We got day 2. This will be for tomorrow. And like I said, everybody needs to be on the watch for this one. You're going to see much bigger area in this. If you're in any of these risk areas, even in the thunderstorm area, I would just have a way to get alerts, just in case something goes down. Initiation of these thunderstorms will be rough, and I'm going to talk about it right now. So, let's get out of here. Let's go to this floater. I think will be important. So, you have your storms that are going on today. Like I said, transitioning into that squall line. Those kind of fizzle out here in Missouri. So those fizzle out. This new boundary here is kind of draped over the Arkansas area. And then that one will initiate supercell type thunderstorms. You start seeing these little hooks on these. In Arkansas, right around the Little Rock area. Those kind of advance into a bigger squall line of thunderstorms. Like I said, very intense squall line, all right? So So you could be dealing with some 80 plus mile an hour winds. That's why you have that Hatch 75 plus, which I'll show on the outlook. And then that all transitions to this big long squall line that's just causing overall damage all along this squall line. You need to be careful. Super organized. It's going to have this big shelf cloud associated with it. And convectively, this is a Cape shear product. Higher values of this indicate better tornadic development. So you have a little bit of a gap here due to early morning thunderstorms here in northern Alabama. That quickly redeems itself. And this is super concerning when you start seeing 3,000 joules per kilogram just kind of there, existing. And even approaching 4,000, getting into your 5,000 values up here. I'm going to take a sounding in one of these clusters of 5,000 joules per kilogram. And this would probably be a pretty scary sounding. So that's why the National Weather Service was considering upgrading to a higher risk. And we're going to wait for this to load. I'm going to explain everything on here. It's going to look pretty dynamic. It's going to have a lot of graphs and stuff. But I'm just going to explain it the best way I can. It's taking a while to load. Finally. Alright. So you see 71 over 71 with a cap. 3,000 joules per kilogram. This is overall a pretty favorable environment for significant hail, but not so much tornadoes because of this warm nose. That could be a savior to a tornado outbreak, but I don't think that that's going to happen, even though we have a lot of Cape. And then that Cape all kind of remains on the edge of this line and just kind of gets cut off with the line. The line cuts off the Cape. Just look how incredible these values get here. Very flat 4,000 joules per kilogram of Cape. And their supercell composite values, I imagine, are going to be equally high. And they are. Especially on the leading edge of this line as it gets into Arkansas. But like I said, that kind of fizzles out and transitions into a longer line that kind of collapses and just takes all the Cape with it. Alright. Significant tornado parameter. Usually you see these values pretty high in environments that are more favorable for supercells and not lines. You see those values really bloom up in here. I'm actually going to take a sounding of this because I want to see if this environment is going to be supportive of those discrete type thunderstorms. It's going to take a while to load. So while it is, we're just going to take a look at this. And you kind of see that fizzle out with the line. So this is where you can see, let's look at the helicity swaths. See if there's any big, long swaths of rotation. You don't see much of it, but especially with that line, you do see some widely scattered areas of helicity swaths. And let's do, this is not UD helicity swaths. That's UD helicity swaths. Even those swaths, because continuing to the Atlanta area, so watch out for spin-up tornadoes there. Alright, here's your sounding for, what is this sounding at? Oh, this is up in the I supercell composite area. Yeah, any supercells that develop in this environment will have a chance to be, could produce tornadoes. That's why you see some more brightly colored helicity swaths up there. And this is just the nab. I'm looking at a lot of versions of the same thing. So you got to see that swoosh by. Big line of thunderstorms. A lot of wind on the edge of that line. Got to be super careful. Secure outdoor items tomorrow, even in the early morning, because if, like I said, these storms can cause some damage. Just overall, just a big line of thunderstorms. Now the HRRR, on the other hand, this is its 12Z, so we're going to get a good look at this. Have those thunderstorms fizzle out, and it kind of shows the same thing. A long, big, widely scattered area of severe thunderstorms. Big line of thunderstorms. And that kind of continues throughout the day. With some areas of thunderstorm development, this could kind of cool down this area of the line. But overall, same thing. I'm going to open up tropical tidbits so we can get a look at other models that are kind of showing what this could be like for you in your area. So we'll open up tropical tidbits. This is going to show us, let's look at the high resolution model. Right, this is just another version of the same thing. And it shows, let me wait for this to load. It shows, oh my God. You know, Computers really shouldn't be this slow. I'm just going to let it load. The loading screen is lagging. All right, here we go. So you have your storms here up in Illinois. This will be early tomorrow. All right. Then after that, you have your big initiation of heavy thunderstorm development, especially up there in Kentucky. And then that kind of transitions into the long line of widely scattered severe weather. So let's look at these models, which are called WRF-ARW models. And they're pretty solid. They go out 48 hours. And they're going to give us a different insight of what these storms can be like. So you get kind of your initiation, big gust front. Even here, you could be dealing with some severe winds. On stuff like this, it'll be pretty dark, but there won't be too much rain with it. And you kind of see that, a big line. I don't know where I took a sounding from. A big line of severe thunderstorms here is what you're going to have to watch. Let's look at the 2 version of this model, and it sort of shows more of a 2 MCSs. One here kind of curling back out. I watched this area here in Kentucky, and then another one back in here near Alabama and Mississippi. Gonna have to watch that tomorrow. More of a linear setup, but I think everybody should really stay safe. Thumbnail doesn't lie. This will be a situation in which you're going to have to watch out. You can't accidentally, just get lucky. If you get under a warning, take shelter. Please do so. It's going to help me out a lot. It's going to help you out a lot, especially. And I just want to make sure that my viewers are safe. I'll see you guys later. That's kind of the plan for the next 2 days. Actually, before I go, let's take a long-range look at what's going to come ahead. The GFS shows same thing, big line of severe thunderstorms. And then another system coming in Wednesday, Thursday of next week, kind of doing the same thing with a super elongated area line of thunderstorms. So watch Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday next week. Just watch next week. Could have many different severe weather days. National Weather Service has already highlighted those. If you have any questions about anything, go to your local news, go to the National Weather Service, and you can always come right back here. I'll see you guys later. Good luck.